Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G, where service members help service members, period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. Let's get into it. We got a special guest. I'll let him introduce himself. Sir, Lord of Business is how I know you, right? Formally know you.
That's right.
Please give your government name. Joke. That's a joke.
One each. So I'm Jay. Last name is Stang, like Mustang. So as you can imagine, I was asked about 100 times a day if my first name was Must, right? Because our names are right there on the fatigues. I once saw a warrant officer in Kuwait named Bonaparte, and he was also short,
That's good.
but he didn't look like it was slowing him down at all. Yeah, Lord Business is, typical Twitter handles, just having fun, from the Lego movie, right? And I work in business, right? I work in oil and gas. And so it's a fun, handle to put. And when I put future billionaire in my bio, it's really to trigger people, and only the right people are triggered, accomplishing the mission.
That's good. That's good. Hey, thank you for coming on, sir. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your service, first and
My
foremost.
pleasure.
Give the listeners
You
a little
too.
bit yeah, thank you. Give their listeners a brief background, where you're from and when you enlisted.
Sure. So, like half the Marine Corps, I'm from Texas, right? Obviously. And I stepped on the yellow footprints May 14th, 1996. And I was in the last platoon, Delta Company 1118, to go through before the Crucible started.
Tell me about that.
So I'm getting salt dog territory as I grow and mature and become more powerful. I graduated August 2nd, 1996, which was also the day that Mohammed Farah Aidid was put to rest, the notorious Somali warlord from Black Hawk Downs. A bit of a serendipity right there that I
Yeah,
didn't learn until later
that's
when the movie
crazy.
came out. So, yep. So I'm from Texas, United States Marine Corps. I sent you the screenshots on Twitter, but Sergeant, so don't call me sir. I work for a living.
That's good. That's an ongoing joke. Officers don't like that one. Tell me,
Sure.
duty stations, where were you stationed at, and your least favorite to
My
your
first
most
duty
favorite?
station, sure. First LAR at Pendleton. And there, one of the Marines in my company went to the Naval Academy. So I thought that was a badass idea. So I went to the Naval Academy prep school for a year, saw the inside of that place, and I was happy to go back to the fleet after that. Went there from Newport, Rhode Island, where the Naval War College is, to Second Combat Engineers at Lejeune. Had a lot of fun there. And from there, I got asthma for a while where running was just a nightmare. So I got out for a few months. It went away. So I went back in. Then I did a lateral move from 1141 basic electrician to 2831, which is, I don't know what it is now, but back then it was, multi-channel equipment repairman. So we worked on the 170s and then the line of sight microwave radios. So I spent, both tours on the, electrical radio, electronics comm side. Picked up corporal in 99. When I went back in as a corporal, I had all my time in service preserved because it was less than a year. And then I picked up sergeant in 2002, went to comm school at 29 Palms, had a lot of fun there, dated a lot of girls in Orange County. And went to Comm Squadron 38 at Miramar, picked up sergeant there. Captain Pacheco pinned me, company commander. And from there, that's when we went to Kuwait and Iraq. So how we got there was a bit of inside baseball drama, but was there at Ali Al Salem Air Base for a few months. And then I was sent up to be the platoon sergeant for a detachment at the Al Qut base in Iraq. So before we left, I was the platoon sergeant. I was platoon sergeant for a year. I had some good times there. And then I went to Kuwait, spent a month in Iraq at a FOB and then at the airbase, came back to Miramar, then got orders to Okinawa. So my last duty station was 7th Crime in Okinawa at Hansen.
That's good.
So from there, in 2005, like I sent you my selection picture. I was selected out of the below zone for staff sergeant in 2004. Then I started to look around. I'm going to be working for these guys for the next 11 years. Do I really want to be stuck? Because it's such a small MOS, right? You can't get out of it. Am I going to be with the same people for the remainder of my career? And then I looked at what was going on in Iraq, the second battle of Fallujah, right? Just like Hamburger Hill in Vietnam. You take a hill, a lot of your men get killed in the process. You leave, you go back, more men get killed to take the hill again. Fallujah seemed to be the same pattern. I thought, what are we even doing here? So at that point, I was 27, 28. Wanted to get married, settle down, have kids. Didn't want to do it in the military. Wanted to spend some time at home with family. My dad passed away in 2009, so I got to spend the last 4 years with him. If I had reenlisted, gone wherever, I would have missed out those past 4 years with my dad.
Mm,
So
good.
it's an opportunity cost, right? And it's all throughout life. If you do this, you can't do that, right? I could have done a whole lot of things in the Marine Corps, but I would have missed a whole lot of other things in life as well. So I figured, selected for staff sergeant in the below zone, I got the brass ring, right? In my mind, I had achieved professional success in the Marine Corps, and now it was time to see what else I could do in the world. So I decided to go to Texas A&M and hang out with a bunch of hot track stars. That's like a good idea at the time for a single 27, 28-year-old sergeant. I'm like, yeah.
In your prime?
Oh, exactly. So I was talking to a recruiter. I put my resume on monster.com. I don't know if that still exists, but that was a thing 20 years ago. And I started talking to recruiters from Orion International, which is now Orion Talent. Orion is the absolutely top shelf headhunting company that takes active duty and veteran military personnel and puts them in good jobs in any industry. So I was talking to an old salty chief named Summers, Larry Summers, great guy, and positive things to say about him. And I said, Chief, I really think about going to Texas A&M, and there are a lot of good looking women there. So, I think I'm going to go to college for the next 4 years. So I EAS'd, did steps at Pendleton. My dad and I drove back to Texas. And so I was living with some buddies of mine in College Station. And my dad called me one day, about a month and a half later, said, look, Larry Summers and I had a great conversation. I'm like, what? How did that, you know, how did that even happen? Two worlds colliding. So I said, well, he found me and we had a great conversation. And he and I both agreed that this is really important. The intangibles that you have right now are very sharp. They're in demand. The job industry, they're hungry for accomplished veterans, and you should go to the job fair and you should take them up on it. So for the first time in my life, I actually started listening to my dad. Things changed, right? The old Mark Twain quote about, when I left home at 18, my father was an idiot. When I returned home several years later, I was amazed to see how much he had learned. So Mark Twain had a lot of zingers like that, but it's very true. All of a sudden you realize your dad knows a bunch of stuff. So when I started listening to my dad on the topics of working women, then my life became a lot better and turned around very quickly. So that's how I got into oil and gas. Orion was founded by a fighter pilot, Mike Starrich. I think he was a major lieutenant colonel, Marine Corps. So they got me my first job in oil and gas as a technician, obviously with my electronics, radio, and leadership background, perfect fit. So 20 years on, I rose up through the ranks. You may not know it, but I have changed your life in ways that you don't even know about in the oil and gas industry.
Interesting. Interesting. What's that?
Technological improvements, quality improvements, making nationwide refined fuels pipeline networks work better. So the gasoline, the jet, the diesel you buy to put in your car, plane, train, automobile is of higher quality and better and cheaper because of the work that I did with the company I was with at the time.
Nice.
So then I started my own company. I launched it January 1st, 2020, right before oil went upside down for the first time in history. And then it was a wild ride for the next 5.5 years. Starting a small business at any point in time is a tough slog, but what tools do you have to be able to withstand stress, pressure? Does this sound familiar, right?
Mhm.
Everything I learned in the Marine Corps was very applicable to being able to withstand incredible stress, pressure. And I had a wife and a bunch of kids, right? So you're the leader. Buck stops with you. You have to not only stay, cool and calm and collected under pressure, but you also have to accomplish your own mission, which is making your business successful. And then, of course, one of the key components is that we know is you have to be physically fit. You just don't have the physical energy otherwise if you're not in good physical shape. So PT is not just something we do to just mess with people. It is of essential importance. You can't fight a war if you're fat and nasty. So
That's-
also, my idioms and phrases and everything are from, the Marine Corps of 20 years ago. So just keep that in mind.
They haven't changed. I'll tell you that.
Good. It's how, now I've got a bunch of sons who are getting close to 18. And now I have to start thinking about, when the recruiter comes to call, right? When,
I told
I want to
my
make sure that if I let my sons join the military, and of course I'm biased about which branch to join, I want to make sure that they're well taken care of and that, they have a good time, they serve their country, and they're able to progress and mature and grow and all of that good trash. Yeah, physical fitness is important no matter what you do. Uh, Getting there, I don't know if it's still there, but when I was in MCT in 1996, the Quonset hut, the giant Quonset hut where the supply house is for MCT, there's a giant painting of a Marine and he's pointing his finger at you. I can't remember if we did knife hands back then, but he's pointing his finger at you and he says, if you were accused of being a Marine, would there be enough evidence to convict you? So 30 years later, that's still burned into my brain.
Nice.
And if you think about it, 30 years later, people still ask me if I'm a Marine, right? And when you get out, no matter how long you're in, if you let yourself get fat, if you turn into a hippie and no one knows you're a Marine, you've lost impact that you could have otherwise if you keep yourself squared away. Now I'm 49, right? You know, I lift weights almost every day. So I weigh, you know, I'm not 175 anymore, but the bearing, the composure, everything is still there. And so then people say, you're in the military, weren't you? It's like, yeah, yes, I was. Which branch? Well, why don't you take a guess? And then usually get it. Yeah. When you're 21, 22, and you're grumbling about all the, you know, games you got to put up with, right? I say it's Marine Corps, a game by Milton Bradley. It's tough when you're young, but when you get older, you see really how effective our cult programming is in the
Yeah,
Marine Corps.
I agree.
Trust me. If
Yeah,
you're
no,
a Lance Corporal, you're watching this and you're rolling your eyes, trust me, son, it gets a lot better.
it's good. Well, first, sir, thank you again. Let's backtrack a little bit, right? Thank you for all that information because took some notes while you were talking. Least favorite duty station.
Lejeune, like a
Why?
shitty copy of East. It's you got to drive 3 hours to get anywhere.
That's fair. What was your favorite duty station?
That's a toss up between San Diego, Miramar, and Hanson. Okinawa was awesome. I know why people extend for 7, 8 years there. San Diego is obviously pretty awesome, self-explanatory. While I was there, I picked up sergeant there, so they were short of space in the barracks. So as soon as you picked up sergeant, they gave you BAH and they told you to go find an apartment. So I had a couple roommates. One of my brothers was my roommate for a while. He's going to law school there in San Diego. Another Marine was my roommate. We were in different units. When I left for Iraq, I still had my apartment. And so some of the other rear guard guys, you know, were living in my apartment, other NCOs while I was gone. So it was a very good time. And we were able to band together and help each other out with living situations and things like that. So we all took care of each other.
Nice, that's good. Also, there you go. If you're looking and listening to Mr. Jay Stang, aka Lord Business, right? It's San Diego, toss up between San Diego, Japan, overseas, why not? And what was the other one?
Miramar and
Miramar.
Hanson.
That's right. That's right. Least favorite, Lejeune. It seems like
Because
I kind of want to go to Lejeune though. So
it's all what you make it, right?
that's fair.
And it also depends what rank you are, how old you are when you get there to Lejeune. If you're a staff NCO officer, it's probably a different experience. I was there as a corporal. You know, it was okay. I didn't have a car the whole time I
Oh
was
wow,
there. So that gets tough when you don't have transportation to get out of town on 96.
that's true. And that's why you probably didn't like it as much. Well, I'm going with my wife and 5 kids, hopefully. And it'd probably be a different experience than you for sure. I keep hearing it's a good family place, so we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I didn't have, I was single, right? So that was 2000, 2001 time frame.
Wow. 2001, I was in eighth grade. Oh my goodness. Don't age yourself or anything. You're not aging yourself at all. And now that I know that information, sir, what was your, when you transitioned out of the Marine Corps for a good reason, obviously, right? Everybody has their reason to transition, but for yours, it was family. How was that transition for you? And do you still struggle with it?
The most notable thing about getting out, and the same thing, the urban legends about how the Air Force won't let you join because you're too crazy. When you transition to civilian life, you run at a certain speed, and that's a lot faster than most people run. And so there's a disconnect there that can get a little jarring sometimes, right? You're too intense, right? You're locked on all the time. The small talk, the smoking and joking, it doesn't happen very much. A shock for both parties when you go from the Marine Corps and screaming napalm sticks to little kids, and then you go to a company with HR, and you can imagine it's a bit of an adjustment period for you and for the company you work for. But companies want veterans because I got my first job. I was sent to Chicago to train every week for 6 months and all the equipment, the instrumentation that we sold. And my boss at the time, he only hired veterans. So we had 4 soldiers, 4 sailors, 4 Marines, and 1 Air Force guy. The Air Force guy got hazed relentlessly by the rest of us. And then of the 4 Marines that he hired, 3 of us were sergeants, and then 1 was your typical hide and slide lance criminal. So he didn't like it very much working with 3 of us because it was his worst nightmare, right? 3 sergeants and him. We were all crazy.
That's
Yeah. So the point of all that, Gunny, is my boss hired us because all he had to do was send us a text message and then he didn't have to check on us anymore. So I got a text message in January 2006, be at this address in Singapore Monday morning, 0900. And he knew how to talk to us too, right? He knew how to communicate with us. So he would just issue a command, address, time, date, location, the SMEAC, right? And that's all we needed. So I had my American Express company card, booked a flight to Singapore, walked into the shop there at 08:45, ready to go, and then was there for 2 weeks. Had a great time. Met a lot of people. And the biggest drama there was the shop I was in, they were not doing some things correctly and they were setting things up incorrectly. And so I put that in my service report and the customer said, "Could you take these parts out?" And I thought, I'm not doctoring my report for you. I don't care who you are, right? That's Marine Corps right there, right? That's Sergeant Stang saying, pound sand. But so I called my boss and said, "What do you think I should do?" And he said, "Well, give them whatever they want and then bring the real report back to us."
college. I like it. I like it.
Exactly.
Business. Well, let's talk about a little bit of transition to one more piece on transition. It obviously people say the civilian world is different because you're different speeds, which is understandable. It's the same what's it called? Same situation for every service member that transition out. I mean, it doesn't matter what branch. It's just a different beast altogether. But in terms of transition from the Marine Corps, the isms, the ideology, the thoroughly indoctrinated devil dog, right? Do you still have some of it? Do you
The
struggle
acronym.
with? Do you miss? What do you miss more, or what do you miss from the Marine?
The Marine Corps is like there's like a bad girlfriend, like a crazy ex-girlfriend, right? After a while, you forget about all the fights, you forget all about all the drama, and you just remember the hot sex. That's the best way, because people ask me that all the time, and that is the best way I can put it. So that's the way I would.
That's good. I
As
mean,
far as transition goes, I would say this. The Marine Corps is your identity. You'll always be a Marine until the day you die, right? We all know this. But if you lean on that too much, you hide behind it, then you're typecast, right? He's just this. This is all he is. This is all he knows how to do. So a lot of this is mindset, frame, and you learn this in the Marine Corps. So what I found to be effective was, okay, you've got your Marine Corps skills and your URA, 90 miles an hour, let's go, 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 all of that. Put that in a bucket, put that in a toolbox. And that's a tool you can use when necessary. You don't have to be Gunnery Sergeant Hartman the whole time, right?
yeah,
You put this toolbox, and then when you need it, you pull it out, and then you're good to go, right? So that's always a part of your identity. But as you transition, then you take on another identity as a veteran or as whatever job you're doing, right? Husband, father, all of that. So you still got the Marine Corps there that you can tap into whenever you need to, but that shouldn't be your only play.
that's good.
See what I'm saying?
That's good,
It
Gouch. Yeah,
should be not your go-to 24/7, but it's on the shelf if you need it, right? Tool for the toolbox, as you always hear in training sessions. So that's the way I would approach your Marine Corps side. Is it's not everything, because now you're not on active duty anymore. You are a salesman, you are a technician, you are a mechanic, you're a truck driver, right? Whatever you are, but you have that in reserve. And a big part of holding on to that is back to physical fitness, right? In boot camp, if you look like a Marine, you talk like a Marine, you act like a Marine, then you will become a Marine. We used to think, is there some magical transmogrification where all of a sudden we think, oh, we're Marines? No, it's that simple, gradual process of slowly evolving into being a United States Marine, right? But it's all mindset, and that a lot of that mindset is driven by your physical fitness. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? You see a Marine, or you see someone who just fell off the boat? One of the biggest pitfalls, I think, is when you get out, you think, oh, I don't have to run anymore. I don't have to get up at 0500 and hear Gunny yelling at me to, don't fall out, double time. There's a temptation to just leave all that by the wayside, but don't do it. Don't do it. Keep up your physical fitness, whatever you do. I'm not telling you you have to go running 5 days a week at 0500 in your green Hooters shorts, right? But what I'm saying is that you need to come up with a physical fitness routine and a strategy and a plan that works for you, whatever your personal and business situation is. Don't leave that by the wayside. Keep up your physical fitness because it pays off in spades throughout your whole life. Your business success, your personal success. And when you're dating girls out in the real world and they say, you're a Marine, right? What happened to you? Or you walk in and you meet another Marine who's squared away and you say, oh, it's in the Marine Corps too. And then he gives you the old, okay, so what happened? What happened to you? Right. So, it's incredibly important for the rest of your life to be physically fit. Also, so you don't break your hips and get all broken down and hunched over, right? Keep your posture, keep your bearing, keep all of that. That's really important to do because when you walk in a room and people see you walk in, you're squared away, you're focused, everything. This guy's here to do business. He's serious. I can trust him. You get all of those intangible advantages from retaining all of those intangibles that the Marine Corps preaches day in and day out anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is good gouch. I like it. This is great. I'll tell you what, you talked about one more thing. Oh, what just one more thing on transition. Just one more. It looks like you transition well. It sounds like you transition well. You got family. Congratulations on that. Transition up here, right? Some people forget that we're so mission driven, task oriented, that they just kind of, like you said, put this to the wayside. And then they struggle a couple months out. And some of the majority of cases of suicide, right? We're going to jump around. I like to jump around. It's, it have to do with service members losing the purpose, the mission set of taskers. Obviously, your remedy is get up and or have a routine of being physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all struggle, right? We're not all perfect, but did you struggle up here when you first transitioned out?
I'd say that some of the struggles came later.
Mm,
When I had a startup position, I was working for a startup as a sales director and I was on the road constantly. And I didn't really realize what living on the road as a corporate road warrior was like. Right. So that kind of stuff creeps up on you, but you don't even notice because it comes at you from the side. Startup life is not easy, right? So it's go, go, go constantly. And see about I would do various forms of PT up until, 2013, 2014, no problem at all. But this one particular sales position was just an absolute slog, right? It paid off very well, but the work schedule was so tough that the PT started to fall by the wayside because you had a job to do, right? That didn't involve PT. So for a couple of years, I got a little soft, but then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I looked at the picture of myself. My wife actually sent me a picture with one of my kids and she didn't say anything, but it was like, hey, so I looked at the picture, I was like, oh crap, it just
yeah.
all of a sudden, wake up call. And so, went right back to it. I became a competitive power lifter. I'm in the 1,000-pound club in the USAPL. And then from that point, a very interesting thing happened. I closed the biggest piece of business in my life, a $2 million purchase order. And I was in my cigar lounge enjoying a celebratory cigar. And there was a Navy recruiter sitting next to me smoking a cigar. And so I've got my hoorah tat right there, wearing a salesman uniform, so to speak. And he said, hey, you need to get back in the military. And I was like, I'm 40 years old. What are you talking about? I've been there, done that, all that. He said, no. Marine Corps military is looking for older guys to go in the reserves. I thought, okay, whatever, dude. But then he, like good salesmen do, he planted a seed in my head and went home and did some research. And I thought, why not? Fuck it. So
What?
So what I did was, the story gets cool there. So I went and looked up all this stuff and what's near me, right? I'm not going to go to the other side of the country to do some, play games or whatever. And I'm not going to go back to what I did before. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out nuts. So I found the closest unit to me was 4th Recon Battalion. So I scamped my way onto the base using my sales skills. And I found the 4th Recon headquarters and they were closed, but I was able to get inside the building because that's what I do for a living, right? I get inside buildings, I get past gates, I sweet talk my way past all kinds of people. So I found myself in the recruiting office. I talked to a sergeant, I can't remember his name. I think it was Gutierrez. And I said, I want to join 4th Recon Battalion. And he said, well, great, but you're going to have to lose some weight first. I said, yeah, no problem. Because I was about 215 and I'm 5'11", right? So I did 197. He's like, I'm not saying it's possible, but basically his filter was, if you can get back to your fighting trim, then you got a shot. So I said, good to go. So I went back and what I found was, I don't know if you knew who Nick Komalatsis is.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I think he's retired, but he's a recon Marine. And I found him on Facebook, and he and I were actually, he was at Schwab and I was at Hanson for a few months at the same time. And I said, hey, what do you think? Is this nuts? He said, fuck no, do it. Get after it. So he said, here's a book I wrote called Recon Prep. So I said, hell yeah. So I
Okay.
got a copy of the book, and it's this self-driven training program. So for 2 years, I did this training program, and I would go back to the base and say, hey, I'm working on it. And I'd do the fatigues and fin swims. I would do the humping. I would do the weights. I would do the whole program all by myself. There was a Facebook group, but I said, I'm going to do this myself, and it's, self-directed. So in early 2020, walked in, got my picture taken, all that stuff. I was back, right? Got a package this thick put in, and then COVID killed everything.
Wow.
So that was it. So they apologized to me profusely. I said, don't worry about it. Why wouldn't I do that? I got back in shape, right? I spent 2 years PTing my ass off. Why would I regret doing that? No matter what the actual outcome was. And so nothing happened with that, but I got a lot out of it. I got a book, did the training myself. No one forced me to do it. No one was yelling at me. I did it with my work and family schedule and made it happen. So I had my Vector pack still from Iraq. I think it's an LC88 is the actual name. So I'm walking through my neighborhood in desert fatigues and this pack on my back. And one of the women that lives in my neighborhood saw me, and she pulled him next to me. She's like, do you need a ride somewhere? Like, I'm in desert fatigues with a pack on my back. No. And I'm in my neighborhood. No, I do not need a ride somewhere. So anyway, so that was a fun experience. Not trying to say I did anything there. Headquarters Marine Corps shut down. Just they all went home, and my package was
That
filed in the
sucks.
circular file. But it was still good to go. And I talked to some of my former Colonel Jeff Powers was one of my battalion commanders at first LAR. He was awesome. He transformed LAR into the Highlanders and bear pits and the humping to Red Beach to eat smoked pig and fight all night and drink whiskey. That was all him way back when.
Wow.
So, Colonel Powers, if you ever watch this video, raw. But that was it. I was like, why not do it? No matter what happens, you're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, that's what's up. So at what
So then
age
I
did you
went
do
right
that?
from that. So I was 2000. So I was 43, 44 when I did that.
And you were about to re-enlist, tied to the reserves.
Sure. Why not? It's an hour from my
Yeah.
house. Why wouldn't
Oh
I do
yeah.
that?
Well, I'm glad they didn't. Well, I'm not glad.
If you have opportunities, take them. If you could do something, do right. I wasn't, messed up. My knees were, solid. My back was, I've been lifting weights for years anyway. So why not do it? But I went from that into launching my own company. And so the fitness, mental, sharpening of the mental capabilities, all of that was very useful for the shitstorm that was 5.5 years of, getting my own company off the ground. But I didn't know that at the time. Things happen for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Damn, that's what's up. 40, 40, 42. What do you say? You're about to enlist into the reserves again, or re-enlist into the reserves. The sailors are taking up people up until 42,
Right. But it
active
also
duty.
wasn't just unit, right? If I'm going to do this, I'm not going to screw around and, go sit at a desk and babysit people and, look at radios. I'm going to go all out and shock the world. So
That's what's up. That's
that's
good.
why I chose to go and try to get into Fourth Recon.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's definitely some. That's good gouge. So I'll tell you what. I don't know at 42.
You
I mean,
just,
I'm gonna be 42 in 5 years, but I'm
right.
excited to do.
Wherever you are in life, you don't give up, right? People like Josie Wales says, either get busy living or get busy dying. And so one thing as you get older that helps you stay vital and helps you stay strong and energetic is to go out and do crazy stuff like that.
Hell yeah. That's what's up. You still got it. You're still thoroughly indoctrinated. I can't tell you no. You're definitely more thoroughly indoctrinated than I am. That's crazy. And I'm still active duty. Wild. Well, first, again, thank you for your time. Appreciate your time coming on, sharing your story. Got some good gals there the entire 30 minutes way through. Give some got a couple more things before I let you loose. Marines, obviously, your biggest thing is physical fitness. If they couldn't be physically fit for some reason, they couldn't do that aspect of maintaining their body that way. But give them something that they can use for adversity, so they stay resilient. It's one thing for the
Everybody's
toolbox.
got to eat. Everybody's got to eat. If you can't PT, what you put in your mouth is even more important than how many push-ups you do every day. If you eat like garbage, you're going to look like garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. If you can't hit the gym or the trails or whatever like you want to, Just make sure that you're eating right. Diet and exercise and the bro science have come a long way in the past 20 years. And you've got carnivore, keto, all these things. There are so many resources out there where you can supplement whatever level of PT you're capable of doing, whether it's a lot or not a lot. Getting your diet squared away is going to be huge for keeping yourself good to go as you get older. Go eat steak and eggs, drink black coffee, stay away from the desserts and everything. That stuff, that advice never gets old. So you're going to have to eat regardless of whatever else you're doing in life. If you keep your diet squared, well, that's another tool in withstanding adversity, right? Figure out how to eat correctly. But everything is what you make it. Adversity builds character, as you were probably told growing up, right? So if you, let's say I cried because I had no shoes, then I met the man who had no feet. Someone always has it worse than you.
That's good.
Right? Someone always has some kind of physical ailment, some kind of disadvantage in life. Someone always has it worse than you. But wherever you are, whatever adversity you have to endure, you look at it as, I get to endure this.
That's
I
good.
get to work my ass off instead of being unemployed. A lot of people are unemployed these days. If you have a job, make it happen, right? If it's not the job you want, go get a better job. Right? But every adverse situation you're in has the opportunity to either make you or break you, and it all depends on what's between your ears and how you see the situation. You're rolling up Ankle Breaker or the crew, the Reaper or Mount Motherfucker, wherever you are, he's like, oh, this shit sucks. But think about how much stronger and how much tougher you're getting mentally as well as physically. I use those examples because we all know these, but wherever you are in life, every piece of adversity exists. What if you're fighting cancer? Do you give up and die, or do you beat cancer? Diseases are very dependent on your mindset and your positive mental attitude from any survival course you've taken. Fighting something, you fight it. Whether you win or lose, how you fight is an example to everyone else around you as well. If you have kids, they see their dad struggle and they go through adversity and they see their dad overcome obstacles and challenges, then that helps them grow up and be more effective men when they become adults themselves.
Yeah, that's good. Damn, this is good. I'm gonna keep you in my toolbox in my electronic Rolodex now. Tell you what.
Gunny, this is all just the longer you're alive and your eyes are open, the more you learn, right? I
Yeah,
didn't know any of this stuff 20 years, right? But over time and experience, you learn all of these life lessons, and there's no shortcut. You just have to go through it. You can't look back and say, I should have made these decisions, because back then you would not have, because you didn't know what you know now. You have to make these mistakes. You have to go through life. You have to do all these things to get to the point where you can accurately look back and say, I should have done this.
it's good.
You can't beat yourself up for not knowing something at 18 or 25 or whatever. You have to go through it. One other thing I could say, back to the transition topic, is find someone like me, right? Find a Marine who's been out for 15, 20 years, who's successful. He knows where you've been. He's been at probably lived in the same barracks you did, but now he's 15, 20 years farther down in life. He sees the world through my eyes. Find someone like that. You always need mentors anyway. Find a mentor who is my age, 45, 50, something like that, and learn from him. And that's the only way you can travel through time, so to speak, is you can learn from him and you won't have to make as many of those mistakes yourself.
That's good. Man, you hit a lot. It's almost like you were well prepared for this session. It's crazy. Um, I'll tell you
Yeah,
what.
I'm also I'm a professional salesman and business owner as well.
Well, that makes
So
sense. You're
just
selling me for
thing is my
sure.
forte. Always be closing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll give you any safe route, sir. Last minute plug, whatever you want. Floor is yours. But again, thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your wisdom, experience. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to the listeners as well. But the floor is yours for any safe rounds.
Absolutely. Well, my Twitter profile picture is actually me. So most people think it's from a gangster movie, but it is me. It's just a steakhouse in Houston and some good lighting. Twitter is a really fun place. You can't take it super seriously, right? But there's a very good lesson on Twitter that I think is good in real life, is you never know who you're talking to. There's a guy who thinks I'm a 17-year-old kid in Manitoba who doesn't know crap about life and just tweets stuff. Right. And a lot of people will say, you never served, you're a coward, you never put your life on the line, because I say something they don't like. And I think that's how I caught your attention initially, is I said something about women in the military. And
Yeah, yeah, you did. Yeah,
you can see a lot of human psychology there, where someone says, well, you never served in the military, you're just a keyboard warrior hiding in your mom's basement, will never get laid, never have a job, you don't have any hair. Well, that's accurate. But all this stuff. Like, well, you have no idea who you're talking to. You could be talking to, what's his name, the Delta Force Green Beret Sergeant Major Mike Vining, right? You could be talking to him and he's just using a profile picture and a fake name, right? And then all of a sudden he's at your door and it's like, "What were you saying, son?" So you have no you have no idea who you're talking to. And so Twitter is notorious for that. What do you know? Lord Business, future billionaire, ha ha ha. You're a loser. Well, you don't know. You're not sitting next to me, right? So it's a very good lesson in how to deal with people and how to connect with people where you don't assume things about people, motivations. That always backfires. So when you get on Twitter and you see people expressing their opinions, assume that they know what they're talking about until they show you otherwise.
Yeah, that's good.
It's always going to be better for you to assume that they are not full of shit than assuming that as a starting point. Because, a lot of people on Twitter are very important people who will talk to you behind, anon pictures and fake names. So if you're going to show your ass, that's a good way to do it, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to preface, I didn't say any of those things. And two, it was very good discourse. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, high and to the right or left. So, of
Sure. But everything I say on that topic is just informed from my own personal experience, right?
course,
My first tour, I was on the combat side, and back then it was all, no females allowed. And then my second tour was on the support comm side where there were female Marines everywhere. And so I got to see both sides of how the Marine Corps operated. Now, with everything that all my opinions are informed by my own personal experiences. Sitting through Navy Marine Corps Award citations, these reading the citation and it's her job description, her billet description. She unrolled a spool of wire and she got a Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal. And I was between jobs after I got out and I met with a recruiter who was a retired captain. And he said, "Well, send me your service record, whatever." So I sent it to him. And when we met up in Houston to talk, he said, "Well, I don't really see a distinguished service record." I said, "I showed up, I did my job, accomplished the mission. I didn't go out looking for where can I get a next ribbon or medal or citation. I didn't chase all that stuff, right? Because some people do that. You can look at my shadow box I sent you. It's all, service and campaign related, good conduct. No, I'm not a glory hunter, right? I have a rational self-confidence, but that doesn't translate into me looking obsessively for opportunities to get more, more on my chest. So you have an opinion and you serve, you have the right to have an opinion. It doesn't matter if you never left the wire or if you weren't recon or force recon or you parachuted into Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden. If you serve, you have an opinion that should be based on your own personal experience. And people that will try to box you in or frame you as not being able to have them because you didn't follow their own
yeah,
internal standards that are moving, goalposts are moving all the time anyway. That doesn't apply to you. There's a lot to learn about sales that can be useful in your daily life. If you watch Glenn Ross, right? That movie is for salesmen what Full Metal Jacket is for us. There's a lot of information and wisdom in that movie amid all the yelling and screaming and one-liners. Allowing people to frame you on Twitter. Framing is a very basic sales concept where a picture frame literally defines what's in it, right? You have a picture frame, there's a picture in the frame, right? And so if you allow people to frame you in a certain way, they're defining your reality or what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to think, right? And so learning how to not let people frame you or frame a discussion you're in is very important to do, no matter what situation you're in. Twitter is a very good example of that, where people will try to do that to you all the time because they want to control a conversation or a comment thread or replies. So if you learn how to not allow yourself to be framed, not in a criminal sense, right, but in a discussion, then you'll be more successful in your discussions there. So the Marine Corps teaches you a lot about things like that. And so take what you know already from your service and then continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to improve yourself, right, on the mental side, and you'll be more successful in life. You have a great launching pad, a great foundation. You have a great starting point, all right, because you go into the civilian world, you're automatically given a certain level of respect because you served. And so it's your job not to waste it or to, blow it away or not acknowledge it or not value it appropriately. So that goes back to physical fitness. That goes back to how you carry yourself. So there are so many lessons that if you're 20 years old and watching this, you may not understand what I'm telling you now, but as you grow older, no matter how long you stay in, you will start to understand more things as you get older and wiser and you have more life experience.
absolutely. Sure. That's good. Yeah, this whole thing is good. Obviously it doesn't come out right away. It's a one man show, low budget podcast, right? So, but thank you for your time. Thank you for your service again. I can't thank you enough. Your experience is invaluable, right? For it's priceless, but it's definitely worth. It means a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, this Pit Talk, Pulling Pitch and Opinions with your host Gunny G and Mr. Jay Stang. Go
One
ahead.
last thing,
Go ahead.
thing. You know what you did just there? You framed yourself in a negative way. You said, I'm just to this. Don't ever say that about yourself. Don't ever say I'm just a small podcast. Don't ever say I'm just a low budget podcast. You just framed yourself as a nobody when you're obviously not a nobody, right? Teaching moment right here. Don't only say positive things about yourself. Never say negative things about yourself. That's Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. That's NLP. That's sales. If you frame yourself like that, then whatever you say about yourself becomes reality. There's riches in the niches. Podcasts nobody's ever heard of, small, low budget podcasts. There is gold in every one of these podcasts. It's an information rich environment from an active duty gunnery sergeant who is tied into the current trends, and he knows what's going on, but he also has access to veterans and Marines who have gone on long before him, who were in 8th grade when he was in the stand in Kuwait and Iraq. So
Yeah,
just make sure this would be my parting word of wisdom to you is only think of yourself in positive terms and only say positive things about yourself, because whatever you say about yourself eventually becomes true. I'm a Marine. I'm looking like, I'm talking like, I'm acting like a Marine. I'm a Marine, right? That's a very, very basic example of that. But never sell yourself short. Never put yourself down. Always build yourself up. And if you do it long enough, it becomes true.
absolutely. Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host Gunny G and Mr. Jay Stang, aka Lord Business, future billionaire, where service members help service members. Period. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast, and on most social media platforms. Let us know how we're doing. Any criticism is good criticism. But ladies and gentlemen, me and Mr. J, we out. Sir, I'll be in touch. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Number 5.
All right.
Stand by, contact. Ceasefire. Stand by, contact. Ceasefire.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.